I had huge amounts of disassociation associated with my trauma, which is really common, especially for kids who experience sexual abuse. So I was always like being reprimanded for not dressing appropriately. I was constantly getting messaging that I was both too much and not enough all the time. And so it was super painful, and it really manifested later in life in like professional pursuits, because there was like a lot of like, when you hear that repetitive messaging all the time as a kid, that you are both too much and not enough, you like both want to suppress the things about yourself that make you like you and that make you stand out. And you also feel like you're never good enough. So it creates this really unhealthy feedback loop that I had to work through a lot and still work through in therapy. But it also makes you feel like you can't get help from authority because you're worried you'll be in trouble all the time. And so for me, when I was molested by other boys in the youth group, and I have a couple of incidents that are really vivid, some that are pretty fuzzy, but like, I think the biggest thing that stands out to me is like that messaging creates this very unsafe environment for kids. Is like being told as a girl that you are inherently bad because of something that's totally outside of your control. Like, I have no control of how my body developed at that point. Yeah. Like, I was a teenager. Like, I was going through puberty. Like, what the fuck? How am I supposed to, like, what am I supposed to do? This is just how pants fit me and shirts fit me. Like, and so, and like the rooms I was pulled out of and the learning opportunities I was taken away from because of my body was just like a huge amount of like shame messaging that I received repetitively throughout childhood. And so, and that was from the leaders of the youth group. That came from Zach Vesnies, that came from Josh Jarrett, that came from, and I'm going to name them all, by the way. That came from,
you should.
Paul Sheik, Steve Moline. I mean, there's a lot of, and they're all men. And when I would watch, I would remember literally watching them whisper in the ear of like a female youth leader and point to me. And then I knew I was getting like a sweatshirt or a baggy t-shirt to wear for the day. And so first off that, and like, let's not even think about how they were looking at me in that way to put a shirt on me. But on top of that, like when these boys who are at youth group who have not been taught about consent because they're only taught abstinence, have not been taught about what a healthy sexual interaction looks like. When I'm like this very insecure girl looking for security from someone, and this boy expresses interest in me, and we like go around the back of the church, and he goes to kiss me and then do things further than that. And I say no, and they don't stop. And then I would come back and like try and tell a youth leader about it and be like, this felt wrong. Like, this was bad. This happened to me. And they would just be like, well, if you would dress more modestly, that wouldn't have happened to you.
Oh, wow.
Damn, dude.
Like, and now that I'm older and I'm like, I was actively telling adults in a designated reporter position that I was being sexually abused, and I was being told it was my fault. And so I know I went to at least 4 people before I stopped just trying to tell people, and whatever like mental blocks to protect my psyche kicked in. But like I want to like really speak to the environments that most of our youth groups were, because I want parents out there or people questioning, or maybe if you're questioning and you have kids in youth group, to take a really hard look at how your kids' youth group is set up to protect your kids.